Hello, everyone, and welcome, Kiva. I'm so excited that you made it.
I know, I flew over to Germany.
Like this. It's quite dark, but yeah, here we are. Well, I'm so happy that we can talk about all this amazing stuff today. Welcome again. I switched for the beginning, just a small sentence in German so that we can all get everybody on board. Hallo und guten Abend, wie schön, dass ihr schon da seid. Sagt mal eben kurz, könnt ihr uns hören? Kann man uns sehen? Can you hear us? So just leave a comment. Lasst uns einen Kommentar da, damit wir das einmal eben sehen können. Ich weiß, es gibt so ein bisschen Verzögerung. There will be a little delay, I saw, from about 20 seconds. So, direkt vorweg, stellt all eure Fragen, alles, was ihr heute wissen wollt, auf Englisch, auf Deutsch. Katharina is there. Hello, good evening. She's always there. Katharina, you're amazing. And Leah, good evening. Lasst eure Fragen da, ob es auf Deutsch ist, auf Englisch, das ist egal, ich werde es übersetzen. So, I would not say leave your comment in any language, because this I can't manage, even though I speak 4 languages, but let's stick to German and English. This is fine for today.
Those two.
So I know there were already people asking for you to join this certified OBM International Live. When I announced that I will do this, they were like, oh, do you bring Kiva? I saw it from the round table. We have to meet Kiva. And I was like, yes, for sure. I'm like, they're possible. And here you are. I'm so happy. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just let us know a little bit about you, how we met and how you made it. Yeah.
Awesome. So I am so excited to be here, Petra, and who can tell you no? So I was just like, yes, I'll be there. Just tell me when. And so, hey, everyone, I am Kiva Slade. I am a certified online business manager, and my business is called the 516 Collaborative. So I am here in the U.S. And gosh, Petra and I met because we were in the same cohort. So Petra was our early bird for our certification week. I'd wake up to messages from Petra about everything that had already been thinking through her head. So it was the best ever. And I've just enjoyed our time together. And I'm so glad that our cohort, so many of us have stayed connected. And they're my business besties that are all over the world. And when the world opens back up, I'm meeting up with you in Greece, and we're gonna have to do something on one of your many travels.
Was always like, okay, in which time zone are you now? Where are you?
I know, yeah. We couldn't keep up with her. She was like a time traveler. I'm like, the rest of the world is locked down, but Petra, she's like, no, not today. I'm in Greece having cocktails. I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, it's not almost a year, but yeah, I think nowadays, 1 year ago, I took the decision to apply for the program, and then I met you in March. And but what was your way? How did you get the idea of becoming an OBM and then even becoming a certified OBM?
Yeah. So my path is not straight. So with that being the case, let's see here. Last year, what are we in now? November. Okay. So yeah, last October, I'll back up a little. Last August, I had my, 30-year high school reunion. So I went back to New Jersey, and I grew up on the beach. So, I'm back at the beach, and I don't know, for me, it's water is a place to think. And so I'm in New Jersey for my high school reunion, and I'm just like, wow, okay. I have been, let's see here, after school, I went to grad school and got a master's in public administration. My goals when I was a little girl was to become a lawyer and a Dallas Cowgirl cheerleader, for the football team. Don't ask. So those were my goals in life. All right. So, I was 3, give me a break. And so I was interested, though, in politics. So I had a master's in public administration. I worked here in the U.S. on Capitol Hill as a legislative director for a member of Congress. And I was like, okay, great, but then I met a guy, and then I got married, and then I had kids, and then I wound up I'm home like with the first one. And then the second one came along and I was like, where'd that happen? How'd that happen? And so, you're like, all right.
Right? Like,
All of a sudden, it just popped up out of nowhere. I was like, where did this kid come from? And so I was just sitting there and I was wound up being home for like almost 18 years. And so last August, when I was at home for that, like, school reunion, and I'm just like, where is my life like going? What am I doing? Because my daughter was at that point going into her senior year. My son was in his junior year, and I'm just like, they don't have a lot more time like here at home, and what does that look like for me as to what I'm going to do after that? So I really was having like, I guess, a woman's version of a midlife crisis. And I didn't go buy a Corvette like guys do, but I I stumbled across like a VA course by the Virtual Savvy. And I was like, what's this? And I honestly felt I had been living under a rock because I was like, you mean people are getting paid online to like do stuff that I like do for other people for free? I was like, oh, wait a minute here. So I was just like, yeah. So I wound up signing up for that. And literally, I think I had like 4 clients within 4 weeks. And it was just like, Abby Ashley literally came to my house last year in December, like filmed a video on YouTube with her husband and her brother. And it was just all crazy. Yes. So it was just, that's how crazy it was. So like literally I was like a part of that kind of little campaign. And I was like, okay, this is really fun. But I was always with my clients, like asking additional questions. Hey, let's get some quarterly planning. How about this? Have you thought about this? And honestly, they were like, could you just manage the inbox and the calendar? And I was like, no, because I have way more talent than that. So what about this? And so literally it just kind of came across. One of the girls in the Virtual Savvy, Rachel Dorsey, was like, have you heard of an OBM? And I was like, I just learned what a VA was. Like, oh, what are you throwing additional letters at me for now? Like,
feels like traveling back to Germany. We are now finally knowing what a VA is, a virtual assistant. But when I still stumble over it, like, I'm like, what?
Yeah, so I was just like, no, what's that? And so then I stumbled across Sarah because she was like, go Google it and look it up. So then I did, and I started reading, and I was like, oh, now you people sound like you might be my people. I was like, because, I was like, I'm liking where this is going. So yeah, I met with Sarah. And then I signed up, and then the next thing you know, that was that. So that's kind of where we wound up, where we are. And it's been a really good ride. I have amazing clients. I just had a call with one of them earlier, and I'll never forget the day she told me, she's like, just with you, I feel secure. And I was like, well, secure is not a sexy copy word, honey. Like, like I'm not putting that up on my website. Oh, I help you feel secure, but I understood what she was saying. In that trust that I think is so important that, business owners have with an OBM. So it was really funny. We kind of joke. I was like, secure. Okay, that's not the word I was thinking, but I'm going to go with it. But, you really get that sense that she's like, I totally trust you. I value you and the information that you share with me, the decisions that you make on my behalf. And so it's been a really good ride. And I have met some amazing people like you and the rest of our amazing cohort, and just the women in general and men. There's a few of them in our certified OBM community. So everyone has been great and wonderful. So
for me, it felt like after the certification, it felt like coming home. Like there's always somebody around. Like you don't have to waste this time on Googling for answers. We can just ask people who know. And I don't know, maybe it's because of the time zones, but I have a feeling that there's always somebody there who can answer your question.
And that's true, though. We can pop in there, and I love to say it's like our kind of extended hive mind. It's like if my brain doesn't know it, we can just go ask, and we're like quickly inundated with feedback. And you're like, oh, okay, so gotcha. All right. And then you can take that and, of course, move forward however you best feel is comfortable. But the fact that there are people who have experience in a lot of those areas. And, then there's also things that we add to the conversation as well. So I think the camaraderie, and it's not like, oh, you're just newly certified. It's not that. It's we're all
Not at
certified.
all.
Yeah. So I love that part of it too.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And for me, I don't know how you see it. I just jump a little bit back to the beginning of the certification part. I felt like, okay, I have a good gut feeling, like I know what am I doing there, and then finally everything made sense. Like we got all those SOPs, the standard operating procedures, and the templates, and I was like, this is how I did. Okay,
Yes.
like I was playing the game, and now I discovered the rules.
Yep.
I don't know how you felt about it.
Yeah, at first it did. It was like, okay, these are a lot of modules and a lot of different things, and you're just like, what am I supposed to do with this? And then you wind up in a business and you're like, oh, you have this problem. 1 second. I have a fix for that. And you take that template and you tweak it to that particular business. Here you go. Here's your solution. Yes, I did that super quickly, didn't I? But it's because of all of those resources that you were given in training. You were like, oh, I've seen this before. Wait a minute, I'll be right back. So I absolutely love that because I'm constantly using those for my own business in addition to my clients' businesses. Because I think the thing that we don't always realize is that right now I feel on the internet, it is easy to make money. If you have the right product and you have kind of a good way of selling, people are making money. The problem becomes there's a whole hot mess going on behind the scenes in their business. So on the front, it looks like, oh, this person has a podcast. They have a group coaching program. They have this. Oh, they must be super organized. They're a $400,000 business. And you go behind the scenes and it's like the Wizard of Oz. Yeah. And you're like pulling back the curtain and you're like, wait a minute.
This Google Drive or file like boom.
Yeah. They have no systems. They have no processes. They have no SOPs. You're like, how do you onboard staff? They're like, we just hire people.
We just,
and you're just like, okay. What happens after that?
And it's Anne who was telling us like, okay, that she spends hours on looking for tutorials on YouTube, but this is exactly it. Then you have the full circle of OBMs, and they did this already. So
don't recreate the wheel when there is no need for that. There's such a quicker path to get to the answer that you're looking for. So definitely, it's when you have that access to people who are like, I recently have a client who's looking to get a CRM, and some of the systems that she was looking at. And I was like, I definitely don't like this one, but maybe this one. But, I just asked and like immediately here's responses. And when everybody kind of coalesced around the same answer as the top choice, I was like, okay, that was my top choice too, So it just is like, okay, even you do your own research, but don't spend tons of time doing it when you can also ask, and then that might help define more so or narrow down where you are doing your research instead of kind of looking at 50 systems. Look at these 3 and then make a best decision on that.
Yeah. And the more you get into, the more you are in the network, already who is a pro on which topic. And so you can ask specifically, which, what a word.
Yeah, that's right though.
Well, here it's 7 p.m, so I'm fine. But
oh, you got questions.
Yeah, we got.
Someone loves to watch the Cowboys, the practice rehearsals. I love that show too. I love that because everyone thinks just because they're like a veteran, oh, I did this already. I was already on the team. That does not guarantee your spot. And that's a good lesson though for us as well, because just because you like now become certified and things of that sort, like stay on top of your stuff. If there's continuing education, continue to learn, continue to push yourself and continue to grow. because you want to always be that best version of yourself. And, so, okay. I'm glad to know there's someone else out there.
When I share my little dirty secret. So we have this German version of American Idol, and just behind, I made it to round 5. Yeah.
Get out, girl! Love it. See, now we find out the hidden life of Petra. Okay, so what's that other? We had a question there. Okay.
Yeah. How to get our first OBM clients. So Kiva, maybe you want to go first?
Oh, wow. Those first OBM clients. First, I want to share, don't be too eager. And I share that because you can find yourself with a less than ideal client, and then you have more headaches, more stress, and just it's not a fun process when you do it that way. So I really think to take your time to know yourself, know your boundaries. And then in terms of actually finding clients, I found my first client on LinkedIn. I know a lot of people say post in Facebook groups and different things. I just feel like for me, I feel like I have a megaphone and I'm like trying to yell above the rest of the noise, and especially in a free Facebook group. And when you start charging $65, $75, $85, $95, $100 an hour, are those types of people who say want to spend $1,900 a month on your services, are they hanging out in the free Facebook group? Yeah. So ask yourself that, like, who do you want to work with? My other client came from doing a strategy session first. And so what I did with them was I had a 90-minute call with them, and we mapped out their first 3 months. And based on what they had in terms of their staff and capacity, they knew that in order to accomplish what they had said they wanted to accomplish during that strategy session, that they needed me. So that's how I also, the strategy sessions are a great way to gain clients. And sometimes you might just want to offer a small, like if they're not full on OBM retainer level, if you have your own VA, maybe you offer them a small implementation package where you're doing the strategy portion of it and your VA is doing the actual, doing or working with their team on the doing part of it. So those LinkedIn strategy sessions are also just really helpful ways to go and find clients, at least find the ones that are more aligned for what you are looking to do and who you want to work with.
Yeah. And then how do you do it? So you get in touch with people and then you just start talking, and then at one point to say, hey, don't you want to book a strategy call? How do you do it?
The strategy sessions, I actually, for me, like a discovery call, I think for one of the hardest parts was getting over, how do I say it? Like with a discovery call, don't feel like the goal is to make a sale. And once you let go of that and realize it's more of a conversation of them telling you what they kind of need and you kind of being able to either provide an answer or solution to that, or maybe it's not something that you want to do, or you in the discovery call, you're like, this person's crazy. I don't want to work with them, no matter what their problem is. So the understanding that discovery call is a conversation. And when I got to that point, when I got to that point, it relieves that pressure that you feel of, man, I didn't close it at the end. Don't even worry about that. It's a conversation. And I think the biggest second game changer for me was when I stopped. I was part of a girl did a call or something, but she really focuses on corporate clients. And what she says was, you do not send a proposal, you present a proposal. And that was a game changer for my business, because we're typically taught to have our discovery call and then at the end, I can offer you a blah, blah, blah package. So if that person's just a strategy session, I'm going to offer that strategy session at the end of the call, because that's a one and done. It's a 90-minute call. I can tell them what they're going to get within 5 days. You're going to get a mapped out 90-day roadmap of how to accomplish your goals. But if that person is someone who is really more of a retainer client, at the end of the call, I let them know, thank you for all of this information. Do you have your calendar available? I pull up my calendar, and then right then I book our follow-up call for the next day or the day after. And I say, I'm going to review everything and I'm going to put together a proposal. And then on that call, I go into Canva. I have a template and I put together what, go back through your notes. I tell people, I ask them at the beginning of a discovery call, I like to record these for note taking and training purposes. Are you okay with that? They say yes. I record my sales calls. So I watch that back. I do increase the speed a little so I don't have to sit there through the whole thing. So I go back and I verify with my notes from the call. And in my proposal, I literally detail out as to where they are now, where they want to be, and how they're going to get there. And then one thing that I always do is their option one is the status quo. I let them know that's your first option, because they literally do not have to choose to work with us. They can stay doing whatever they're doing. If they're Googling and YouTubing their lives, they can continue to Google and YouTube their lives. Okay, so I let them know option one is status quo. Keep doing what you're doing. And then I give them option two and option three based on, like where they probably really are. And then, hey, if you really, really want to get a lot of stuff done, I got this one over here. And literally, that's what I do. And once I've started doing that, when you walk someone through that visual, they're like, oh, ooh. And plus, I think it sets you apart. You're not just at the end of the call coming across as, oh, here's 20-hour retainer. No, these are the things. Like I literally say, like, here's your first 90 days. Like based on our call, these are projects that we can work on. Yeah. And at that point, you've kind of really walked them through and set the stage where they're like, you get to the part of options. They're like, okay, but when do I sign up? And you're like, hold up. I got you. One more second, And really that whole present your proposal has been a game changer, because it also, I feel, helps eliminate, like if a client doesn't want to come back on a call with me for me to give them solutions to their problems, then you're not ready to really work with me anyway. Yeah. And I'm okay with that, because you're going to be a problem and I don't want to deal with any problems. Yeah. So if they're not wanting to come back to circle back with you to hear what you have to say as to how they can move from where they are stuck at now and experience the transformation that they're looking for in their business, don't talk to them. Yeah. Yeah. It's so amazing. I mean, it's a bit silence here on the chat, but I think it's because like I know absorbing this. What do you say? Like for me, it was a big relief when you said like, okay, the first discovery call is not meant to be with pitching or anything, because I think this is making so much stress to many people because they're afraid of even offering their strategy calls or the discovery calls, because they could be in charge of pitching or their work for even money. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's very stressful. And if you can get that part off of you and just like, okay, and I literally say at the beginning of mine, I have a form that they fill out and I'm like, thanks so much for completing this form. This is really a conversation. So I can understand more about what is going on in your business and what it is that you'd like to see going on in your business. And then I let them know at the end if I'm able to help you. There's no guarantee. It's an if. Even with my strategy sessions, if the person was crazy during that 90 minutes and I'm like, oh gosh, your business is just junky, I'm like, I don't offer an implementation anything. I'm like, here's your report. That's what you paid for. Sayonara. I don't. So that keeping control as the CEO of your business is really important, and knowing your values, knowing your boundaries, so that you're not out here like, I got to talk to everybody and, oh, what if they don't hire me? What if they don't partner with me? What if it relieves a lot of that stress. And I think when you get rid of that kind of monkey on your back, it feels so much easier to do.
Yeah. It just leaves so much stress out. And
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing this. And I mean, I know
What else
you're.
do we have?
Yeah.
Oh, I was looking for more questions. What'd you say, honey?
People are just like, I think they're all taking notes now. So everybody's taking notes now because I would, but I have, I mean, guys, we'll have the replay here. We have it in the Facebook group. We'll have it on the page. I will put it on, I think, I'll leave it also run on YouTube for my blog later. So we are fine. I think it's like everywhere. So
Everywhere. You'll see Petra and Kiva everywhere.
Yeah. And I was right. Anne just was taking notes. So
okay. See, there we go. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
What about giving the solutions on the discovery call and end up not being hired? Can she tell us more of what she means about that?
Well, I mean, we can. Okay. I think like what happens if you have this discovery call and then you try to pitch, but the client simply says no. So I just don't want to work with it. I don't know, Anna. How do you feel like how Kiva's managing with a rejection, or what is it?
Yeah. Or is she sharing too much on the call and they're taking her freebie information?
Yeah. Because I just had this with, I'm having a German-speaking OBM mastermind here, and one of them was working with a client and supporting her a lot with LinkedIn and all how to set it up. And in this moment, she was like, no, not for the moment. And then they stopped working together. And now, 2 or 3 months later, this client is offering a LinkedIn course, an online course, how to have a good strategy. So I was like, yeah, this is kind of.
You know what though? But when that happens, you really have to say, go ahead and go for it. Because I think the biggest thing is, and I don't know probably what the German equivalent is, but like, here we have McDonald's. I don't eat it, but like the Big Mac has a special sauce. Yeah. So like, I remember when I used to teach like English to my little kids in China, and they had McDonald's, but their McDonald's like sold totally different food than over here. But like the Big Mac has special sauce, right? Okay. And remind her that she has special sauce. So even though this person is trying to do the same thing that she was doing, there's going to be something that's not going to be the same, because she's not you. She's not that person. And it's what's that? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. So, just kind of take it as that and remind yourself of your own special sauce, because no one can do what you do like you do. So that's the thing.
Energy, yeah. So,
Anne Marie said she's sharing too much. Oh, okay. So we need to talk about your discovery call process then. Okay. So like literally I do have a script. I don't follow it fully, but I have like kind of sections of questions, because you really want to lead them. Let me see if I'm going to get So you guys can't read this, but if you can, I keep this on a really big piece of paper. So when you think about your sales process, and this was from a training by Lauren Wells, who's amazing. Remember what? It's a conversation. All right. So you want to start with, where are they struggling? That's their problem. What have you done to fix this? That's their commitment. Why do you need to fix this? That's the value. Why fix this now? That will lead to the urgency. What is stopping you from fixing this on your own? So that's an admission that they want or need help, okay? Now, Anne Marie, it sounds like you need to ask more than you answer, okay? All right, so with those things being considered, all right, your discovery call process should not have you doing a lot of talking.
Yeah.
All right. So you should be maybe 20, 30% at the most. The rest of it is you're asking questions. You're sitting back and waiting for responses.
It's a discovery call. There has to be something to discover. And
that's right. So if you're talking more than they're talking, they're discovering more than you're discovering. All right. So that is kind of where you want to switch your discovery call process so that you're asking questions. And you notice like most of those are like where questions or even how questions are really helpful. There's a book called
You are the book.
I know, right? It's called Question Behind a Question. You know, so yeah, it's helpful in just like thinking through like what are some of how to phrase some of those questions so that they actually are asking, and your response shouldn't be a solution. It should normally be another question so that they have to go even deeper in that explanation. So that way you won't wind up feeling that you are giving away too much information. And then that way it's like, oh, okay, you actually have extracted that information from them so that you can make a very good assessment of where they are and how you can help if you want to help them.
If you want to help.
Yeah, I put that out there. It's like, if you want to help them. You're not a taco. Y'all can't serve everybody, okay? So like everybody's not going to like you, and you may not want to work with everybody. So I just remind us of that.
This is the point. Like, but especially in the beginning, it's like, okay, fine, I have my first client, and then you find out, oh, maybe this is not the perfect match. Then, and I was there. Please don't make the mistake and say, okay, before I have nobody, I just work with this person, because this will just bring you trouble. It's not worth it. You will end up
really not
without sleep, or I don't know. You will hate that person in the end. Hopefully not, but
right.
Been there, done that. Not worth it. Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, one of my first OBM clients, they bailed on their last payment, you know, and I had to let them go. But once again, it was more so that was a boundary breaker for me, because communication is so key. And I said that, like, if you had communicated, hey, Kiva, we're having some financial difficulty right now. Can we put a pause on our contract and start back up? You know, because I do require payment up front. But there was no communication. There was literally ignoring of my emails and things of that sort. And so as a result of that, I said, okay, if you don't respond by this particular time, our work is done, because I'm not going to continue to work for free. That's not going to happen. So, you know, you really have to, when you do have your boundaries, you have to be willing to enforce them. And that can sometimes feel uncomfortable, but it's necessary.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, because here I can see that still many people are charging after the work has been done, and then they're running behind payments. And once you make that switch and you turn to upfront payment, it makes things much more easier. And the second thing is, like, when I work with an OBM client, we're in this together. And if there is a problem, and maybe I couldn't have seen that coming, there are still problems I can't see coming, but it can happen sometimes. But then still we are in this together. There's always a way to communicate. And if there is trouble in 1 month, then we can downsize it, or we can pause. There will always be possibilities. And this is what I say also to all the people I'm working with together, or when they're asking me, like, there is always a way to communicate. Just ask for it. And then, I mean, we are solution deliverers. Yeah, we are not like, okay, how can we do it? It's just, here's the solution. This is how we do it. And this is, part of
because we can't read minds, you know, and there might have been something in your family that came up, or in the client's family or something. Just communicate that. And I think that is so important. And I think when you have that communication and you have that trust, you find that you have yourself with some really good clients, because it is more of a partnership. When you're coming in at an OBM level, it is a partnership, and that understanding that it's a partnership and you setting that expectation from the beginning. That's why I encourage you to lead your sales calls. Okay. If you have a potential person, they should be booking in with you, not you booking in with them. Okay, that they're like, oh, so this is what we're going to do. Now, that's a little different if you're responding to a request for proposals. And then the process has to change some. But even in that, you need to find the ways in which to ask the questions you need to ask in order to find out if this is going to be a good fit for you.
Yeah.
So it's important to know that. Which platform? LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just talking about like
That's where I hang out. Like I have an Instagram because I used to own a jewelry business on Etsy. So like Instagram was my BFF then. But honestly, now I post on it periodically, but I don't really interact. I go on it to check on my kids, but they're on Snapchat now more so. And TikTok, and I'm not doing that. So, so with that being the case,
for your private TikTok account, like we can all
no. So, but I am on Facebook, and if I go by my Google Analytics, and everyone should have that installed on their website, I do get more traffic from Facebook, but than LinkedIn. But I'm also one of those firm believers on any of the platforms that your actual future clients, they're the ones quiet on the sideline. So, they're not the ones interacting on your post. They're the ones who are lurking. So you're really writing for the lurkers. You're being consistent for the lurkers. You are doing all the things that you need to do because it's not necessarily that person who's in your direct connection, so to speak, or friends list. That is your future client. It's there's someone who's like the person who's next to that person or who knows that person.
Yeah.
So,
but the handling of LinkedIn, I don't know how you feel, but sometimes I feel about the technique of behind it is like 2 years behind Facebook. So if you know about how Facebook works, you can do LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I would not say.
I think the thing with LinkedIn, I think the biggest thing with LinkedIn is realizing it is more about social selling. It is not so much about what you're posting. It's about things like your dwell time. How long are you actually on the platform interacting with others? Who are you getting into your DMs? Who are you having messages with? And little things like that to trigger LinkedIn's algorithm. So, for example, if I'm friends with Petra. Okay, so I'm on LinkedIn. Now, say Katerina is friends with Petra, but say we're not connected. But say Katerina is like someone who I want to be in connection with because she's a potential client. She kind of fits my ideal avatar. So I know that she's friends with Petra, but I go and I comment on a post from Katerina. Okay, so that triggers the algorithm to say, oh, there's somebody who's talking to her person, but they're not connected yet. Okay. So say I do that. Today is Tuesday. All right. Say Katerina posts again on Friday and I go again and post on hers. Now Katerina is saying, oh, this person's responded to me twice and she might respond. The algorithm though is saying, you two are talking. I'm going to show you more of each other's content. Okay. And so now, even though we're not first connections, okay, she's seeing my post in her feed. I'm seeing her post in my feed. Okay. Yeah. And so then, though, if we do become connected and then we start a conversation in DMs, then the algorithm's like, oh, they really like each other. Oh, like it's really excited about that. So I think it's really looking at that to say, then once I get her in my DMs, okay, how can I provide value to her? Okay. And not buy a freebie. That's behind like one of our email walls, hey, I got this freebie, sign up and get on my email list. Start thinking bigger than that. Like, can you do a case study of work that you've done with a client and how they started with you here and now they are here? Can you share, look at their posts? Is there something else that they're interested in? And then you come across an article and say, you know what? I was thinking of you when I read this, and I'm just sharing. Okay. Not that you're looking for them to say something back. You're just sharing. Okay. But because that focus now is in those DMs, that's another trigger yet again for the algorithm. And then it gets to that point though, where you have to say, like, if you then say, Katarina's like, oh my gosh, that was a really great article. Tell me more about what you do. You didn't ask that, did you? Let me tell you. And so then you start to share and engage her in those DMs that way, till it gets to the point where you say, hey, would you be open? I see what you do in your business. You now know more about what I do. Would you be open to the two of us having a call? Okay. And leave it at that. She responds, yeah, I'd love to talk more. Great. Here's a link to my schedule. Please feel free to book in. Or better yet, you can even say, I have 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock open tomorrow. Do either of those times work for you? She's like, oh, I can do 3 o'clock tomorrow. Great. Now you've moved that LinkedIn connection off of LinkedIn into your own funnel. Okay. You're going to have now this discovery call, virtual chat with her. And now the ball's really in your court. Okay. If she's primed for an actual contract and, is ready in her business, great. Maybe though, Katarina has a podcast and she's like, oh my gosh, I've so loved talking to you. It'd be great to have you on my podcast. Yippee. All right. You're increasing your visibility, and that's an awesome thing. Maybe it is Katarina's like, you know what? My friend, I'm going to pick a name out of here, Diana, I really feel that she could really use you in her business. Would it be okay if I connect the two of you? Yeah, it would be great. So it's really about that. LinkedIn is more connection building, really looking at it as a long haul process of, I am really getting to know you. I am really getting to add value to your life. You add value to my life. And from that, we're going to either just have some amazing friendships. We're going to have some opportunities. We're going to have some clients, because a lot of times it's like people are like, oh my God, I want you to talk to such and such, because they've been talking to you and they know how awesome you are. So now they want to put you in touch with someone else. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so too. So Katarina's quite happy. I see that now. This is amazing. Yeah, we'll do more about LinkedIn. I think this is the good idea. I love the question with Diana. Diana is, and as far as I know, actually in the program of Sarah. So she is facing her certificate in January.
Good for you. Yeah. Oh, yes. The wonderful niche question. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like Sarah. I don't have one.
I started with coaches, but then I found out, okay, it's more about their niche again. It's not about my clients, but theirs. So, but yeah, how do you focus on your clients? Just tell us.
I really feel like the niche is the personality, which sounds so cliche. I know Sarah says that, so I'm just going to borrow Sarah's words, but it really does come down to that, because for me, there's such that level again of trust. The person you are connecting with has to trust you. And so with that, there's that personality. That's the importance of that first 90 days and really getting to know each other. So for example, like I have a client who is an executive coach, but I have another client who runs a writing school, and have another one who's a professor who has started a course. So if you can find the common denominator in there outside of the fact that all three of them were women, I don't know it. Okay. So, but it's really about them like respecting the fact that I know my stuff and I'm coming into your business to do these functions. And so, I don't have a niche. And for me, honestly, I would probably get bored. If you made me only work with like a certain type of person or I would be like, I would really lose my mind. So I can't really feel like I don't even want to niche down. Like, to me, it's exciting. Like if someone, comes and they're like, oh, my business is, I don't know, financial services. And I'm like, oh, exciting. Let's get into this. Like, to me, I like to learn things. So for me, I'm a high fact finder. So it's like, oh, so financials. oh, what are we going to do? Oh, let me go read more about that. Like, so I'm excited about that, like that process of learning. So if you narrowed me down and was like, Kiva, you can only work with course creators for the rest, I'm like, I quit. I don't want my business anymore because I don't want to do that, you know? So
travel, because if they're just like competitive, then it's like, okay, where?
Yeah. Like, I don't want to have people that are like, oh, you got this course creator and this one, and it seems like their audiences might overlap. What are you going to do now? Like, So yeah, for me, it's really the personality. So sorry, Diana, if I don't have a fun enough answer for you.
But you still have an avatar. Like, okay, for me, I also say, okay, I could work with more than one niche, and I don't do work with only one niche, but it's like the person behind it is somehow similar, like the vision and what the person does and the family status and all of this is very similar.
Yeah, that's true. That is a common denominator between mine. Like, they're all women, all about in the same age range, you know, accomplished in their own, you know, right in circles. And so it's really, they've gotten to that point where they're like, look, I already know who I am. I know what I'm good at. But honestly, this part over here of like managing the team, the ops, the whatever, I am so over that. Okay. And they've had people doing it, or like that person's left, or it hasn't been consistent, and whatever that situation is. And they're like, look, I just need you to come in. And once again, like we were talking earlier, make me feel secure. Like, honestly, like, make me feel secure that you got that. And as long as I know that you have that, I am good over here going forward, doing things this way that I need to do. And that to me is like the really just kind of fundamental key thing of like, you know what? I got you, you know, and I'm happy over here doing, you know, I'm powering through whatever needs to be done. And that's good, you know, and they feel secure. So that's really kind of, they do have that, like you said, kind of some commonalities. But if we looked at their industries, they're not the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
And Diana is bombarding us with questions. I love that.
No, you do not have to be an expert in an industry to bring value. I think that that's I don't want to say like a misnomer, but kind of, because, and maybe it's me also in the way that I think, I find that when you look at teams that are, especially corporate government, like you look at teams that are made up of interdisciplinary kind of areas. Like, you know, if you bring together the marketing person with the research person and also put into that the policy person, there's value. And that's the thing I don't want you to undervalue, is there's value in the fact that you may not be immersed in that industry. Like, that means that you actually have thoughts that may not be the common thoughts. Okay. And that's actually a good thing, because you actually might have a better solution because of the fact that you're not like this close to it every single day in and day out. So having to be an expert in an industry, no. And it touches back to like what Petra and I talked about. Just if you do feel like you've run up against a block, reach out. I'm sure there's another OBM who's either worked in that industry or might be able to like worked with something else related to that. As that's really, really helpful. And recently, like within the community, we were asked like what we all did before. We have women who are scientists, doctors, you know, like all kinds of amazing skill sets. And all now we're doing OBM work. So imagine that, like, you know, you have someone who is literally a doctor, and that the what she brings to a problem, it's going to be different than maybe someone who's like I've just been in this bubble or silo dealing with this particular industry or whatever forever. So celebrate your differences in the sense of, I'm not an expert in this, but based on what I do know, I can think blah, 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 and blah. Or you're willing to, you know, look a little deeper at blah, 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 and blah. So celebrate that. You know, I always liken this to, they used to have this show on Food Network called like the Market Basket Challenge, you know, and it'd be like 3 chefs and they were all given the same basket of ingredients. Everybody makes something different.
Yeah.
You know, so celebrate that difference that you bring to a team, because there's value in that. So I hope that helps you, Diana.
Yeah. And besides the difference you bring in, it's also like, if you have that different kind of view from the outside, maybe you might do things more easy, or just like, because when we're inside the bubble, everything could turn into something really complex. And then you're just like, why are you doing this? So just bring it down, for the clarity. This is amazing.
I love that.
Great. Wow, so much to say, and it's really. I know I talk for hours with you.
I know, right? I'm just like, okay, so what are we going to talk about next, Petra?
But I also have a 3-year-old who wants to go to bed, Susan.
I know, right? Yeah, like my daughter ran out. She was like waving, and I'm like, part of me is like, and I realized, like, where is she going? Oh, I remember now, you know? So yeah, it's like, those are the fun things of motherhood and work at homehood and all the other hoods.
It's amazing. Like, we can share our work and family life. Like, this is, I mean, we all, you as well, you had so many experiences with different jobs, and now you're in this way, you can just smoothly together. I don't know how
I love it though. I really do. It's like, I felt like this gives me still, like, you know, they're still home, so I still have that availability to be available as much as a teen wants you available. You can take that for whatever it's worth, you know. But you still have that, and it's like, you know, it's special because you realize it's not going to last, you know. Like, even if your kids are small, like, you'll look back in a few years and you'll want to shrink them so that they're small again. So being able to treasure those moments and have that flexibility that we do have, it's a privilege, you know. It's a privilege, and I love it. And you know, we get to do things that some people wish they could do. So, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing, just because we can take charge of when we want to work. And I found out, especially for me, it's also the time zone shift. As much, it was driving me crazy when I had to organize those live interviews with you guys. Like, which time zone is the
You know, I told you I was like time zone illiterate. I'm like, okay, so Petra, just tell me, like, how many hours? Like, where is it again? And what is it? Like, I am literally, my VA is in South Africa, and I literally used to have a sticky on my computer, like, telling me 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. my time is like when she works, just to remind myself, like, is this now? What time is it? I don't know. Oh, goodness gracious. You know, so yes, those time zones are hilarious. But I think you touched on something that I do want to share with the ladies in terms of determining when you work. You know, one of the things that I send clients, and I tell them in my discovery calls and proposals, is that, you know, it's been Thursday. I think I'm shifting it though to Monday. But Thursday is the day that I tell them I don't have client facing days. Like, that's my CEO day to, you know, if I decide to work in the business, I do. But if I don't look for me. I'm not responding to your emails. It's not happening, you know? Yeah. And so I think setting, once again, it kind of goes back to that expectation. And then that lets people know that, okay, you're not hiring me as a VA. I have my own business. And as the owner of my business, this is how I work, and this is when I work. And I think that's really important to define that for yourself as to what your hours are going to be, and you know, like, what they're not going to be. And I mean, granted, everyone has that flexibility now because, you know, they know that hey, look, we're all home now in many places. So, you know, it's a little bit more kind of like fluid, but really setting for yourself and taking time for yourself to work in your own business. Don't spend all of your time working in your client's business, and then one client disappears or another, and you're feeling stretched because you're like, I don't have anyone else on the wait list. I don't have anyone else because I haven't been talking to anybody. Don't do that to yourself. Set aside time now where you will continuously work, block it out in your calendar, where you're working on business development. It is really important that you take charge of your business finances, and who, like, having a pipeline of clients, having some services not that are retainer, that you're going to make sure that you kind of have your bases covered. So to make sure you do that.
Thank you so much for sharing, because it's so important also to focus long term. Like, people are so much focusing on, okay, where do I get the next client? As soon as they land at the client, they're just focusing on him. And what I did in the beginning was like, it was only like 2 or 3 hours I blocked for my own business, but it was in the end. And just recently I switched it for a full day as well. And it's such a relief.
Yeah.
Because you know that, because we are the queens of planning, hello, and organizing, but you know that all the stuff, it's not all coming up. The word will not go down if you're not there for one day.
No, it won't.
And because you were planning, you know, I'll do this tomorrow. This is the time tomorrow. So this is amazing.
And it actually encourages and kind of pushes them to think about their own work-life integration or work-life balance. You know, I love one of my clients is like literally on the team calendar, Kiva off. You know, I mean, it's just like everybody just knows, like, Kiva's not working that day. But I mean, it makes them think, wow, do I need to be doing this every single day? Should I be taking a day to take a step back? Like, one of my clients, I shared with her Gino Wickman's philosophy of a clarity break. And now she's set aside her Mondays as like that clarity break day. And it's helpful because A, we're in the midst of a global pandemic, but B, it's just helpful to take that time to look at your business, to take time away to think, to dream about where do you want it to go? Where do you see it going? And that's not going to come if every single day in and day out you are nose to the grindstone working in your business, you know, or trying to fit it in where you can fit it in, like in the shower in the morning, you're like 15 minutes of thought about my business. You know, that's not enough.
And especially if you give it that space, then the creative thoughts, they come to your mind. You have to give room to it. There is a reason why they say take off between Christmas and New Year if you can. It's such a relief. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I mean, if you feel like it's too late this year, like, put it on your calendar. Next year in my business, I am going to be closed for 2 weeks. I am going to be closed for a week. And that's your intention. That's your goal. That's your aim, and make that happen. Okay. No one's doing this to work themselves to the bone. You could do that for someone else, you know, you could go to work for someone else and do that. You did this for some level of freedom, whether it's time freedom, money freedom, whatever your definition of that is. So don't forget that, and don't lose sight of that in the midst of everything else.
Yeah. And it makes working with a client so much easier, because if you are in this position, it's leading by examples. They will follow up. They see, I mean, I also saw it, like, I was with one client a bit struggling about that. He was not so into story posting, but then thought, okay, my OBM is doing it, I should do it as well. Yeah. So
look at you, trailblazer.
That sneaky kick in there, but
that's right. And I mean, and that's really, it's in that helps. And it also, though, reaffirms the fact that you take your business seriously and you're doing those things too. You know, like, he knows and can, I hope, value and respect that. Okay. He does then see you as your own business owner, not as, you know, just someone on his staff or his team. Yeah. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Well, we are almost full with 1 hour here. This time is flying by again.
I know.
There is so much I could talk about, but I think I just leave your the link for your group so that maybe I should do that. I think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
So that everybody can. This is the only thing about StreamYard which is a bit difficult sometimes that I cannot directly post inside, but
well, you can do it after.
I'll
It'll be in the replay comments, everybody.
I mean, haven't we all have been one time in Team Replay? So yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, there you go. There. That's where I live sometimes. Hashtag replay girl.
It's that Zen feeling in our head, like
yes. Oh goodness. Well, this was fabulous, and thank you all for popping in and showing Petra and I some love, and I hope I answered your questions. If you have some more, just post them below and
do that. Yes, definitely. We will hop in, and I will contact Kiva directly, or me, of course, if you were now somehow scared of using your English skills. I know that's something.
Look, I am so not like, whatever it translates, I'm good. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here, for answering those questions. And just do your thing.
Yeah, I'm like, the phone like never rings. Now today it's like, oh, Kiva's on a call, like live. Let's have a telemarketer ring in, shall we?
This is live, and this is why I like it, because this stuff is happening.
This is what happens. Well, thank you so much, Petra, and I'm excited. So you guys make sure you tune in for the rest of our OBMs who are coming up after this one.
The things that you have to do now is to join Kiva's group, and if you're really interested about how it is to be a certified OBM, I will also leave this comment here to get to the sales page of Sarah Nocat, who will also join those interview series. I was so excited.
Yay!
And next week, Leslie's turn. So Leslie is a completely different fit. She will mainly talk about the transition from a VA to an OBM. This will also be
exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Katarina.
So goody. Then let's jump. I think you have some more work to do.
Yeah.
Crazy week now, right? Isn't that? Because I was asking, well, what about next Thursday? I was like, and Leslie was like, there's Thanksgiving, and I was
Friday holiday coming up over here.
It's slowly jumping over here as well, but I was just not aware of it. So thank you again, Kiva, for joining us this evening. Thank you everybody for watching us, and I'm so looking forward for the next comments and the next interviews ahead of us. So have a nice evening, guys. Bye.
Bye.